She was laughing. Not the nervous kind people use to cover pain. This was pure, thoughtless laughter, the kind that bubbles up when you're free of worry. I stood motionless at the entrance of the hospital room, the cold fluorescent light stretching long, lifeless shadows across the sterile floor. The soft beeping behind me marked the rhythm of my son's heartbeat, delicate and uncertain. Her back was to me. She held her phone wedged between her shoulder and cheek. "I know, right? You should have seen his face," she said, voice light, amused. I hadn't noticed my fists had curled so tight that my nails had broken through the skin. She turned then. No guilt in her expression, only mild irritation, like I'd interrupted her during something unimportant. I kept my voice low, even. "How can you laugh right now?" She blinked slowly, disconnected the call like I'd just cut short a friendly chat about weekend brunch. "Life doesn't stop," she said casually, reaching for her purse. "I'm heading to Darren's birthday party." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back." She paused only to smooth the fabric of her dress, then brushed past me without a glance. Her perfume lingered in the air, high-end, floral, and cold. The elevator chimed. Then she was gone, and in the dark behind me, our son's breathing stuttered. I sat at his side, surrounded by machines that whispered and blinked softly. Night stretched itself thin and bled into morning. He was just 8 years old, small, breakable in a way I had never allowed myself to admit before. A nurse came by, her voice gentle. "You should rest." But I didn't. I sat. I watched. I memorized every twitch in his fingers, every faint shift in his brow, every dark circle under his eyes. I kept vigil in silence. When the police came asking if I had any idea who could have been responsible, I thought of the usual suspects: reckless drivers, midnight speeders, some careless stranger with no conscience. Not her. Not her mother. But some things rot from the inside long before the stench reaches you. There had been signs. Her growing distance. The late-night whispers into her phone. Strange charges on our accounts. And now, the ease with which she walked away without a second glance. Coldness like that doesn't show up out of nowhere. It brews slowly. I remembered something from the previous year. Our son had once asked why his grandmother always parked her car behind the hedges when she visited. It hadn't meant anything at the time, but now, the memory dug into the back of my mind like a splinter. That night, I drove past her mother's house. Her car wasn't there. Neither was she. I didn't confront anyone. I simply watched. Her mother usually drove a silver Lexus, but for several days, it was missing. When it finally returned, the car wore a new side mirror and fresh paint across the front fender. The smell of touch-up solvent still hung in the air. I documented everything, photos from every angle, time-stamped. No words. Just evidence. I thought back to the sound of her laughter. Not sorrow. Not shock. Relief. I bought a dashcam from a corner shop that sold cheap snacks and half-truths. I asked the officer for local traffic footage from the night of the accident. He said they were reviewing the city's cameras. So I waited. Then I went through my son's clothes. What remained? I found tiny silver paint fragments lodged in the denim. Not gray. Not white. Silver. I took a sample. I compared it. It matched. Still, I said nothing. 3 days later, she returned. Said nothing about the party. Never once asked about her son. Just took a shower, got dressed, and left for work. I stood in the doorway as she applied mascara, her hand steady. She didn't even blink. I almost admired the shamelessness, but admiration isn't forgiveness. It's just the calm between fury and planning. He woke up on a Thursday morning, soft groan escaping his lips, dry mouth moving slowly. His eyes fluttered open. I leaned in, my heart unraveling. "Hey, champ, I whispered. His small hand found mine. Cold. He squeezed faintly. Then the words came, "Daddy, the car that hit me." He paused. His gaze drifted somewhere past me. "It was Grandma's." I didn't flinch, didn't speak. He knew that car. Had pointed to it dozens of times before. Kids don't lie like that. Not when they're that hurt. I kissed his forehead. I already knew. That evening, I printed the photos, the street cam footage, the paint analysis, the dash cam stills, all of it. I organized them neatly in a black folder. No labels. At dinner, I placed it in front of her. She opened it mid-chew, and for nearly a full minute, she said nothing. Then, slowly, the color drained from her face like a retreating tide. Her voice broke. "I didn't know." I tilted my head. Didn't know she hit him, or didn't think he'd remember. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. The next morning, I invited her mother over. Said it was urgent. No explanation. She arrived dressed impeccably, nails perfect, smile cool. I sat them both down. My son stayed in the next room, coloring. I pressed play on the dash cam. No sound, just visuals. A silver car. A child's body thrown sideways like a doll. Then came footage of the Lexus pulling into the garage, 10 minutes later, with damage clearly visible. Time stamps. Silence. Her mother said nothing. Her jaw tightened. No shame. Just defiance. I was distracted, she finally muttered. I nodded. You were drunk. She scowled. My wife turned to her, eyes wide. You told me it was a stray dog. I stood up. This isn't about forgiveness, I said. It's about consequences. I slid another folder across the table. This one held a police report. My signature. My son's statement. Photos of the damaged Lexus, now parked in plain view. They both stared at me. This, I said quietly, is the part where you realize silence doesn't protect anyone. It condemns you. I walked away, left them to sit in their own silence, to feel it eat them from within. Now, I sit beside my son. He sleeps soundly. No wires. No monitors. Last week, I sold the house. We're leaving, new town, new school, clean skies. He sometimes asks about his mom. I tell him she lives in the past. He never asks about his grandmother. He never will. Some betrayals don't need screaming. They just need the truth. And silence. As we walk out, I close the door behind us.